Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jason here today with a rare episode of the Anthem of a Universe here on the Anthem of Impact Wrestling channel. Last night, some people saw my Periscope on my Twitter, which is at Anthem of Impact, or you can follow me on my personal as well at Chef Jason09. But the at Anthem of Impact is one that I Periscope from last night, giving my predictions and my thoughts. And you guys would know that I was at Money in the Bank last night for the WWE pay-per-view right here in St. Louis, Missouri. And as you can hear from my voice, I've lost it a little bit. A lot of yelling. I had a lot of fun last night. I'm going to start with an overall, kind of my overall thoughts. This is my first ever attendance to any type of WWE thing. I've been to a live event for Impact. I was at the 2010 lockdown pay-per-view that was here in St. Louis, and then I also attended. Trying to think what year it was, but I attended Impact tapings here in St. Louis as well. It was while Aces and Nates were going on. I want to say it was like 12 or 13, something like that. Which that was a lot of fun. All those were great. All those were a lot of fun. But this is the first WWE event. I think overall, WWE, obviously they've been doing this a long time, and they do a very good job of making the atmosphere inside the arena feel like it's a big deal. You're there for a big event. You're there to be entertained. One of the first things I noticed, we're walking, we're in line to get in, and I see this like merch cart out there kind of by all the lines. I'm looking in there because I kind of wanted to get a sneak peek. I knew going in I wanted to get a shirt, but I wanted it to be like AJ Styles or Shinsuke Nakamura. One, I don't have a Shinsuke Nakamura shirt, and two, the only AJ Styles shirt that I have was like a old AJ Styles shirt from Impact. And and I like some of his new logo shirts that WWE's put together. So I wanted two of those, like one or the other. Both those shirts were absolutely terrible. But the thing that I noticed the most, a lot of merch was Roman Reigns, was Seth Rollins. There was, who else was there? There's another one. I'm like, that's all Raw. And then they legit had Austin 316 shirts that they're still selling. I would like to see, if this was a Raw pay-per-view, how many SmackDown Live people's merch would have been there. Just that you should have the people that are performing. It should be their merch. That's just how I feel. I don't know. I just thought that was kind of funny. Anyway. So by the way, I ended up going with the hometown guy. All right? I know. Look, Randy right now is kind of boring, but I've always liked Randy Orton. I don't know why. I just always kind of have. This shirt's pretty decent. But overall, the whole night was fun. I'm a kid at heart. Probably is why I'm still a professional wrestling fan, and so I love whenever I'm there, going along with the chants, saying the catchphrases. Like, I'll go back and forth. I don't care. Like, I don't. I'll boo the heels and I'll cheer the faces. Like, I know what I'm there to be. I'm there as part of the performance, and I like being there and having fun. I don't care if I really do appreciate the work of like Kevin Owens. If he's a heel, I'm gonna boo him. Why? It's what you're supposed to do. I might get caught up whenever he might almost win the Money in the Bank and start cheering him, but for the most part, whenever he is sitting there, basically wanting you to react in a bad way to something that he's doing, I'm not going to cheer just because. I'm going to boo it because that's what I'm supposed to do. So again, my voice is kind of shot, and I've been working all day, so that doesn't help. So, excuse me. So now we'll go into the actual matches. We start off where we walk in the door and go sit down. We had pretty good seats, and they were doing the pre-show stuff. And I'm kind of surprised, like, they don't have any type of, like, you have no clue where they're at in the pre-show. And you could tell they use a trick, and it only took two times for them to do it, but they did like 3 or 4 times throughout the pre-show. Because it's just kind of like normal dim lighting as you're sitting in the arena. And then all of a sudden, some spotlights come up, and like they go like, woo, like all of a sudden you're like, oh, here we go. So everybody starts cheering because they think maybe it's the pre-show match that's about to come out, or the announcer's about to come out. But then nothing happens. So the second time I'm like, wait, no, still nothing. That's what they're doing. By the third time I went, I don't care. I'm not getting cheering. I'm not gonna cheer. Then we finally get to that match. But I'm kind of surprised that you don't know what's going on with that pre-show. I figured maybe they have it up on the like, at least in the TV trons that's like in the center of the arena. That usually it's like the scoreboard, of the certain arena that you're there for. But no, nothing. It just has the Money in Bank logo. Then all of a sudden, they announced the announce table. All 3 come up to JBL's music. And then the Hispanic announce team gets their own entrance with their own entrance music. And they're like, oh, okay. And then the German announce team gets their own entrance music and their own entrance. And I was like, okay, are we also going to see Portugal and like all the rest of them that are all lined up down the side? Which we didn't get, thankfully. I'm like, okay. Then we get into the Hype Bros versus the Clones. Decent match, it was fun to watch. That crowd loves Zach, right? Like, seriously, just being live, Zach got the biggest pops. I know that's the only reason why I'm rooting for that team. I like Zack Ryder. I don't think he's like necessarily the best ever, but I feel like he deserves a lot more than what he's been given here lately. And I'm just not a big Mojo fan. It's not my cup of tea. I think he could be good, a good kid type gimmick, which is important for a company like WWE who is PG, who does want to cater to more of a family thing. But it's just, I don't think he's talented. Sorry, I just don't. I hate saying that about wrestlers because they're doing something I couldn't do. But he just, as far as my perspective of looking at other wrestlers and you compare, I don't think he's that talented. But the Hype Bros won, no heel turn. So I kind of started off the night 0 for 1 in my predictions. And if you guys don't believe me in my predictions, go to my Twitter page at Anthem of Impact and watch my Periscope, and I go over it all my predictions. And I had predicted I thought the Clones were going to win because I personally thought it was going to be Zack Ryder turning on Mojo, even though some other people thought Mojo is probably going to be turning on Zack at some point. I thought they were hot-shotting it because they threw him in that. Now, later on, we come to find out why Breezango wasn't in that kickoff match with the Clones, and I'll get to that later. Yeah. Anyway, so there was a good amount of Fire JBL or Fire Bradshaw chants. They didn't get super loud, but they got kind of loud. Also, another thing to note during the pre-show, while we're all just sitting around, obviously everybody just does random chants. You get a lot of the, New Day Rocks, New Day Rocks, or just the clap of it. But one that was super loud, out of nowhere, was "Let's go Cena, Cena sucks." That was super loud, and some people that were sitting around me, were kind of like, what? I go, this is why he is over as hell. This is why John Cena is the biggest, draw that they have. And it's because he's not even on the card. He's been gone, and it's a pre-show. Like we're just all sitting, just kind of waiting around, and that was like a loud chant, like as if he was in the ring. No joke. That's where, whoa, okay. I could imagine what it would be like if he was in the ring. So then we get to the actual pay-per-view, and we start off with the women's Money in the Bank match, which, again, if you go back to my Periscope and my predictions, I had said, who I thought I picked two winners basically because it was going to depend on when the match took place. Same thing with the women's championship match, and I had predicted. I thought overall it was going to be Carmella. It felt like it was going to fit her best, especially with Ellsworth. And then I thought that if this was going to take place after the women's title match, I could see them maybe going more of like the respectful, traditional, like this is the first time ever. Wow, what a big moment to give to this big baby face. I thought it was going to be Becky. But it ended up being Carmella after a very rushed match. And Money in the Bank matches should never be rushed. I don't care if it's women or men. I don't care. Whenever it's a Money in the Bank ladder match, because this is supposed to mean something. Basically you're fighting your butt off to get up that ladder to get to that Money in the Bank, because that's almost a guarantee future title. And I knew we were in trouble whenever it couldn't even have been 5 minutes in. And I want to say it was Natalya, but it might have been Carmella. It was one of the two, because then the other one caught that person, and then once they knocked them off, tried to climb up. But it was like they were already climbing as if like they had just been through like a 45-minute match. I'm like, you guys haven't even been going for 5 minutes. This is not going to last long. And it really didn't. It felt like it maybe last 10, 15 minutes. I haven't looked at any of like the actual official times or anything. And of course, whenever you're there in the arena, time, you have like really no sense of time. But it had to have been fast because we had 2 matches left, because we were looking at our clock. My wife sitting there with me, she goes, it's only 8 o'clock. And all we had left was the men's Money in the Bank and the World Heavyweight Championship match. I was like, oh no. We have 2 hours left? We have 2 hours left of the pay-per-view for 2 matches? Ooh, so it couldn't have been long. And of course, this is another thing. I think it's funny. If you don't put into consideration that was the first ever women's Money in the Bank, I think that was probably the best way to have Carmella a heel and Ellsworth a heel to win that Money in the Bank match. But only in the WWE, whenever they're talking about women's revolution, they're branding themselves as the future of women's wrestling. And they are talking about the first ever historical moment. They have not only a guy win the match, they have possibly one of the worst wrestlers on their roster to win that match, in James Ellsworth. I laughed. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. But what was really funny is there was a group of, 18 to 22 type guys sitting behind me. They start going, delete, 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 delete. And I go, hey, you can't do that chant, man. That's Impact Wrestling. It was pretty funny. They were kind of like, what? Like, yeah, look. It kind of almost came off like they didn't even know what Impact Wrestling was. I'm like, then how do you know the delete chant? Oh, you just hear it randomly on Raw and you have no clue what's really going on? I know I shouldn't get that mad about that, but God, it just irritates me. So anyway, now I am 1 for 1 because I picked Carmella. Then we moved on to, I thought, outside of the Money in the Bank match, the men's, this was the match of the night. This match was amazing. These guys are so good. It was the Usos versus the New Day. And I've always been a fan of the Usos. I've always wished the Usos would come to Impact because I think the way that they can wrestle, And Impact with those tag teams, oh my gosh. Like, especially now, because before, whenever I was thinking about how good they would be in Impact, it's whenever we saw like Team 3D, the Bromans, those guys like back then, the original LAX, the Dirty Heels, Beer Money types, those. That's whenever we still had those guys, and I thought they would have fit really good. But then their painted stuff kind of got stale, and now they've rejuvenated themselves. I think they're doing really good work, and I think they're able to go back to just being good workers and good wrestlers and put on really good matches. And that's what we saw last night. It was great. And then the way that they won was perfect. And that's exactly how I predicted they would win, was by being heels. Somehow getting disqualified or counted out, or, being a heel, getting, like, weaseling themselves out of this match. Because I knew they weren't going to beat the New Day clean. if the Usos were going to win. They weren't going to, which they didn't win, obviously, but they kept their titles. So the New Day did win, but I consider the Usos winning because they kept their titles. Like, they did what they needed to do to win. So now I'm 2-1. And it was a great match. Like, being there live, I don't know, some people would consider, like, whenever a heel team decides to grab their titles and walk out, and get counted out, if they feel like they're getting cheated out of a match. I didn't feel that way, because that whole match was decent, was well paced, like, it was good, energetically paced. I didn't feel like I got cheated. That's a perfect way for the Usos to win that match. Well, to keep their titles. I keep saying win, to keep their titles. And then we get to it was the women's title match, and this match was not as bad as I thought it was, but it was not good in any way. Lana just has some work, and like, Naomi's a good character. She's very athletic, and I'm, like I said, I'm a nerd, and I watch Total Divas. That's my guilty pleasure. It's just, I know it's fake. I know it's definitely, it's like half kayfabe, half not. But she comes off as like a really cool person, and so, like, nothing against her. I think she's fine. But there's a lot of matches she has where it's a little clunky, and whenever you put her in a ring in a match with somebody else that has no experience whatsoever, and it just isn't good. I mean, there's so many spots you're just like, ooh, that didn't even come close to touching. Like, that was bad. And and then they had Carmella's music hit, and that place exploded. And somebody next to me goes, "But I really never thought I'd see a whole arena explode for Carmella." I'm like, yeah, well, people mark out for these Money in the Bank cash-ins. But then she's walking, like, really slow to the ring. And I'm going, okay, why isn't she hurrying up? And I'm like, wait, why is she even coming out right now? Because Lana's still standing in the ring. Like, she just hit Naomi, but now Carmella's just standing there. And then she walks over, and they're still, like, it's almost like they're talking. I'm like, what is she doing? And I look at my wife and go, I think we're about to see, like, the first ever cash in to not win a title. Like, I think that's what she's walking into. But luckily it didn't happen. There was no cash in at all, and Naomi won. So now I'm 3-1. Because I picked Naomi. Unless it happened before the Money in the Bank. Or no. What did I say? Oh, I said I wasn't going to be surprised if Lana did win for somebody to cash in on her later. Which, the women's Money in the Bank match did happen first before the title, but the Carmella still won and Naomi still won. That's why those were the two that I said I definitely picked, but I could see it happening this other way. So pretty much I'm batting 100 on the real show. Then this is whenever I'm looking around, we're going, that all happened in 1 hour? We've got 2 hours left. And then all of a sudden on the screen, we got what I also predicted was a Fashion Files. Except they changed it up. They are now Fashion Vice, which is great. This was so good. It was so funny. But then all of a sudden they're like, a TV screen comes, or they have to watch a video. And they plug it in, and it's two, shadowy figures, voice all changed up. And they're like, Fashion Police, it was us. And if you want to find out who we are, then meet us in the ring tonight. And we're like, oh, sweet. Here we go. Because I was thinking they're going to need a buffer match in between Money in the Bank and the World Heavyweight Championship. So then after that Fashion Files segment, we get the World Heavyweight Championship match. Randy Orton versus Jinder Mahal. I picked Jinder not knowing the placement. I didn't care about the placement. But if that wasn't the main event, you knew Randy Orton was not winning. Because if Randy Orton was going to win, it would have gone on last. Because that would have been the best way to have everybody go home happy. Their hometown guy won. Now, they had in the arena, in the first row, they announced the St. Louis Wrestling Legends. Bob Orton is the only one from St. Louis, so I don't know what they meant by that. Somebody else was saying, well, it's because they all used to wrestle a lot down at the Chase. Part of the NWA used to wrestle in St. Louis a lot. And the AWA would come down and wrestle in St. Louis every once in a while. Because it was Sergeant Slaughter, Greg Gagne, Larry Hennig, and then Ric Flair. They were all AWA. That's Minnesota. In fact, Rick's originally from Minnesota. Obviously in the Carolinas. Then you got Slaughter, originally from Minnesota. Larry Hennig, Minnesota. And Greg Gagne, obviously Minnesota. And I'm going, okay. There's only one guy from St. Louis there, and that was Bob. So I don't know. I guess they're just known for wrestling there. It was just kind of weird how they said that. So they had it all there. And again, this match was pretty good. Went a lot longer than what I thought. Jinder actually kind of impressed me in this match. Just with it didn't seem as clunky as a lot of his other ones. Again, it could just be because I only have one view of it. It's not like camera's right all in front of you. So live it looked good. Live it looked fine. Whenever he came out, Jinder that is, whenever Jinder came out, that arena didn't give one flying you know what. They did nobody cheered, nobody you heard a couple boos, not much though. That crowd was not loud. Now once he got in the ring and he started really kind of pandering to the crowd, yeah, it brought on boos. But the initial, I think your truest reaction that you're going to get from a crowd is whenever your music initially hits and you're not pandering to the crowd to incite a reaction. And nobody cared about Jinder. And then Randy came out. Man, that crowd was super hot. And, Randy gets a lot of, he wrestles a lot unmotivatedly, if that's a word. But he lacks motivation a lot in his matches. He doesn't really care. He just kind of goes through the motions. Sometimes it's almost too easy for him, so he's just kind of yeah, whatever. Okay, here's this move, here's that move. I don't care. But I tell you what, he came to his hometown, and he seemed to be putting a lot of energy into that match. That's just how it came off, at least there live. And I thought they put on a good match. Unfortunately, though, the way that the story that they were telling in the match was paint by numbers. Everybody knew that the Singh brothers, something was going to happen to the Singh brothers. They were going to mess with the Legends. Randy was going to have to go over there and, save the Legends. Probably his dad, more obviously. And then that would distract him long enough to get beat by Jinder. And it happened. That's why a lot of the matches happened. They were just kind of saw that coming, saw that coming, saw that coming. And really, the way that they had this whole pay-per-view set up, they could have really have, like, made it very interesting and unpredictable. I want Lana to win the championship? No. But how unpredictable would it have been if Lana would have won the championship and I was going, what? And then out comes Carmella and beats her. Or, you know, if Becky would have won it and then Becky comes out and wins. Or have it even more unpredictable. Not Tamina. No, never Tamina. But Natalya. What if Natalya would have won Women's Money in the Bank? First of all, that would have been a shocking period because they never give Natalya the ball to run with, ever. And then two, what if she would have cashed in on Lana? That would have been awesome. Like, that would have been so much fun to see. Instead, it's just, nope, there's the heel with the stupid douche named Ellsworth, and obviously they won Money in the Bank. Everybody saw that coming. Later on that night, you know, she fakes, turns it in, and Naomi wins. Okay, let's move on. You know, and then Randy Orton loses. Yeah, we all knew that was going to happen. Just because you had one Rich Swann win a random mixed tag match in his hometown isn't all of a sudden going to change everybody's perspective of you lose in your hometown, especially with big matches. But, and now, you know, again, paint by numbers, I think everybody sees it coming. Unless it happens on July 4th, which I could see that happening too. I think it's going to be John Cena comes back to win that title against Ginger, either on July 4th or at SummerSlam. I'm guessing more like SummerSlam. That's a bigger place to, you know, beat Ric Flair's record for titles and get a 17th and beat that nasty foreigner, because Mr. USA John Cena is going to do it. And then we get, which everybody was thinking, okay, it's American Alpha or they're bringing somebody else up from NXT, at least for like this one match. Out comes Breezango. Everybody's like, yeah, you know, they're still fandangoing, and that was cool. That was fun. And it was the Ascension. It was the damn Ascension. Are you kidding me? Who gives a shit about the damn Ascension? Nobody. Nobody cares. Nobody was going to be excited about that. Now, I sat there and I was pissed because I'm like, really stupid Ascension. But I went, oh, you know what? You know what? They've, you know, put a lot of time into this. Maybe they have plans. No, it was just like a couple-minute jobber match, and they're still jobbers, so yay. What a waste of... a waste of a couple weeks. I'm glad, and like I said, this build-up to this pay-per-view has been pretty bad, so there was a lot of SmackDowns I didn't watch, because it was just, hey, here's the members of the Money in the Bank matches, and different random tags or individual matches that you saw last week anyway, and who cares? So I didn't watch a whole lot of them. I bought my tickets like way in advance, by the way. I bought it before the Superstar Shakeup. But anyway, then we get to the men's Money in the Bank match, and this match was awesome. I mean, just, this match was so good. Just left you on the edge of your seat. They let them go a very long time. I'm surprised they let them do a lot of the moves that they did. A lot of these spots were just sick. Started off where Baron Corbin gets a cheap shot, attacks Shinsuke Nakamura from behind during his entrance. So much so that he went to the back. Now again, these are like the little things that the WWE allows to happen, and it's like, oh my god, why are they doing this? Because even some of us were like, wait. Because like all the other competitors were just standing in the ring watching. Like literally, they were all like, I'm like, why aren't the faces helping him? Or at least, like, if that's happening, why didn't the other heels just start beating up the other faces to keep them from helping? It's just like little minor damn details, people. I mean, AJ and Sammy have just talked about how much they are good friends with Shinsuke. Why aren't they Like, the faces would help. The faces would help. I don't care if it's, well, every man for themselves in this situation to get the title. It doesn't matter. They still would have helped because they don't want to see their friend possibly be put in a hospital. They might want to beat them in a match, but they don't want to see him go to the hospital. just little minor details. That's all it takes. If you don't want them to save him, have the other heels go, that's a good idea. Oh, we're going to attack him before the bell too. So Baron then comes down to the ring. They take Shinsuke to the back. And then the match starts. And the match, like I said, was great. They did some crazy spots, going back and forth. And then as Baron Corbin is about to win and grab that briefcase, Shinsuke's music hits. He comes walking down. But is he running down? No. He's walking. Obviously, yeah, he wants to try to sell his thing, but he could have been trying harder. No, he's just kind of coming out And Baron's like, man, I could just go, sorry, I won anyway. No, instead, he just climbs back down the ladder, throws the ladder over, and is like, come on. I'm like, why are you doing that? Why wouldn't you just take down the briefcase? I mean, you literally have your hands on it. Even if Shinsuke's running, I guarantee you can unhook it before that, before he gets to you. Again, just little minor details that they probably should have gone over in their production meetings or whatever, whenever they went over the match. So Shinsuke gets in, and Shinsuke just starts clearing house. Again, they sell it until they don't have to. So he's selling his injuries until he gets in the ring and starts beating people up. Then he can do whatever moves he wants. It doesn't hurt him. I know that happens in all wrestling. It's one of those things that always kind of bugs me. But it happens every promotion. So you go back and forth, blah, blah, blah. Finally, get to the end, and it happens. Baron Corbin, who I predicted, wins Money in the Bank. So, again, it was a good night. It was fun. It was different. Will I go again to a WWE event? Probably not. Maybe if the Royal Rumble's in town. If the Royal Rumble's been here a couple times before. If they bring the Royal Rumble back. Maybe. If I have the cash. If I have the extra cash and maybe somebody to go with. I could see myself going to maybe something like that. But, I'm not going to, some Battleground or back. That's not happening. If there's a takeover here, I might go to a takeover. But that's it. Impact Wrestling needs to come back to St. Louis. Definitely would go to that. I don't care. I'll go to a live event. I don't care. Impact just puts on a better in-ring product. But yeah, so it's kind of funny how I just kind of I'm not gonna say I casually watch the WWE, but I definitely don't watch it as intensely as I do Impact. I can't miss an Impact. I was very pissed last Thursday whenever we didn't have cable or internet. So I missed the first hour, a little over first hour. I was pissed. And because it's hard for me to go back, and really there's really no other place I can go back except for maybe YouTube if somebody put up something or just by watching random clips. But I just don't have enough time a lot of times to sit down and do that well enough to be able to come on here and give you guys a good Impact review. But WWE, I keep up with it. I try to watch what I can. A lot of times, I just watch other YouTubers that review WWE to kind of catch up on things that I might have missed. And I think a lot of them might have gone, 3 and 4 or whatever, 500, and I'm going 1,000. I'm batting 1,000. The only thing I got wrong was the pre-show match, and that's just because I figured that they were hot-shotting that. And then, of course, we didn't know about the Breezango Ascension one. But if I would have known about that match, I would have picked Breezango. Okay? It's just hilarious because sometimes like they think too hard and they're so lost. And I don't mean to talk about this as if like I'm putting him down, but a lot of times from what I can see and what I tell, it's like they start getting into how they would book things. It's like, don't think that way, because this is WWE. You can't book the way you think you'd do it. I mean, if that thing was getting booked the way I would have booked it, that would have been one of the best pay-per-views. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know that much about wrestling. But anyway, hope you guys like this video. If you guys are Impact Wrestling fans and love the fact that I've shitted on this pay-per-view a little bit, hope you guys like that part of it. For you WWE fans that feel the same way I do, hope you guys like it. Make sure that you check out Friday. I am back with an Impact Wrestling review. Also, go follow me on Twitter at Anthem of Impact or at Chef Jason09. And please hit the subscribe button, hit that notification button, leave me comments. I like to hear what you guys have to say. If you agree with me, if you don't agree with me, or hit me up on Twitter with some comments. But if you agree with me or don't agree with me, I love to talk wrestling. As long as you don't come at me like, oh, you're just no, I don't want to hear that. Like, I got my opinions, you got yours. We can talk about it and discuss it and have a good time with it. You don't have to like act like it can only be one way. But anyway, Universe, Impact Nation, peace.